Could Mickey Mouse kill Magic the Gathering? Let's chat about the new card game that could push Magic off of its ivory tower.
See you at Disneyland. Bring money.
Magic the Gathering has never been more profitable. That's what Hasbro likes to tell investors every single quarter. But Magic fans will tell you that those profits are due to a never-ceasing churn of new products that leaves even the most dedicated fans struggling to keep up. The morale of the dedicated Magic player is basically at an all-time low, and even retailers are grumbling about how Magic stock seems to be lingering on the shelves far longer than a game like Pokemon, which is the number 2 card game in the world. The TCG market seems poised for a disruption, and it's a brand new card game that could be the source. Disney Lorcana, a new card game by Ravensburger. While Ravensburger is new to card games, Lorcana is made by 2 Magic the Gathering veterans, Ryan Miller and Steve Warner. And while the game focuses on characters like Mickey Mouse and Moana and Maleficent, the actual gameplay looks surprisingly nuanced and balanced between offering lots of strategy for TCG vets while still being accessible enough for the massive casual audience that it should attract. So playing Disney Lorcana is simple. Players build a deck made up of cards from 2 different kinds of ink. On their turn, players can place an eligible card into their inkwell, turning it into ink that can then be used every turn to play other cards. Think of ink kind of like mana from Magic the Gathering. Each card has an ink cost, an attack strength, a willpower stat, which is basically a card's HP, and a resource called lore. Players collect lore by exerting their characters, which then leaves those characters vulnerable from challenges by opponents. If a card takes damage that exceeds their willpower, they get knocked out of the game. The first player to collect 20 lore wins, although a player also loses if they run out of cards in their deck. Honestly, this rule set, and there's a bit more to it, there's a lot of nuance at play, but it reminds me a little bit of Keyforge, which, quite frankly, was probably the last card game to make a serious attempt to take on Magic the Gathering. Keyforge was developed by Magic creator Richard Garfield and used an algorithm to randomly generate decks made up of several houses. The game made a huge splash in 2018 when it was first released, but it struggled to keep up with momentum, in part because of irregular releases and then the loss of that deck building algorithm in 2021. Anecdotally, I knew of a ton of Magic players that gave Keyforge a try, but it just didn't have the organized play support to keep up, especially as there was no deck building aspect to the game. And unlike Keyforge, Lorcana comes attached to the Disney IP, which dwarfs Magic the Gathering. And no one has ever come after Magic the Gathering with a brand this big before. To give you some idea, Magic the Gathering just recently became a billion-dollar brand, whereas Disney is an $82 billion a year money machine that now includes properties like Star Wars. So not only do they have worldwide recognition on a scale that Wizards has never dealt with before, imagine the sales when Lorcana starts producing Star Wars sets, or Marvel sets, or Indiana Jones sets. With Magic being 70 to 80% of Wizards of the Coast's annual revenue by most estimates, a big hit from a rival trading card game like Lorcana could actually do some major financial damage to the company, especially if Lorcana has the staying power that Keyforge lacked. Just think that if there is a actual viable alternative to Magic, how many Magic fans could switch over to Lorcana and what that could actually do to the Wizards of the Coast balance sheet. So I've spoken to about a half dozen retailers about Disney Lorcana, and they've all told me that interest in the game is very high. One retailer even told me that they haven't seen this kind of interest in a new card game ever. Pre-orders are through the roof, and the few promo cards that are out there, they were released at D23, which is a Disney expo, are selling for thousands of dollars on eBay. Plus, Ravensburger is really pushing for accessibility with their game. Players should be able to build a competitive deck without breaking the bank, and any card can be a foil card, which should create a different kind of collector's market out there than what we see with Magic or Pokemon. Plus, Ravensburger has committed to 4 Lorcana releases a year for the next 2 years, meaning that we won't have special sets and subsets or collector sets messing everything up. If Wizards can't right the ship on Magic the Gathering, Lorcana and Pokemon could both take advantage. And while Pokemon fans are going to stick with that game through thick or thin, disillusioned Magic players could certainly be enticed to try Disney Lorcana. If there's enough Lorcana stock and enough interest, the big 2 in TCGs could quickly become the big 3. So, are you going to try out Lorcana? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit those like and subscribe buttons.